Hey, what's up everybody? It is Cosmo here, and we're going to be doing a quick tutorial on how to make this trippy art that I've been putting out. I've gotten multiple requests to do this sort of thing, and I know you guys are curious of how I'm getting these images the way they are. So I thought I'd share with you step by step how I'm doing this so you can experiment and try your own trippy art. So this gives you an idea of what we're going to be making today, using, again, one of our followers on the Instagram page, using one of their photos. Please check them out, and thank you for letting me use your photos. So the first thing that you need is an image. So I have Yoon 1999, her photo of her with this horse. So this is a really cool photo. I thought this would be really cool to make trippy. So once you have your image, the first thing you want to do is jump over to deepdreamgenerator.com. This is an artificial intelligent generator that is run by Google. They've developed this a couple years back, and there's some really amazing artworks here. Basically, it uses artificial intelligence to stylize photographs using an AI to take one image and then marry it with another image using that unique style. So for instance, for our photo, you would upload your image into the Deep Dream generator, and then you'd find a unique style that you would want. I have my own unique styles that I use, so these are the ones that I sort of play around with, and you can develop your own. These are some popular styles that you can use on the website that are also pretty cool to use. And then obviously you can go around and browse the different artists and see what kind of cool effects that they're getting. Like this is really nice. So I mean, obviously you can get your own kind of style and the way that you want. So once you upload your image to the generator, there's a few settings that you can dial in here. So one is Deep Style 2. Again, you can change the different size resolutions here, and then you can add enhancements, so whether or not it's going to be smooth or a little bit more grainy. The iterations here, so this sees how it samples the image, so you can do it up to 2 times. I find that 1.2 is a really nice sweet spot. Once you get above 1.2, it's sort of hard to see the finer details that would be rendered higher than 1.2. Style weight, usually 50%, so this is like how much of one image is going to be meshed with the other one, so usually 50-50 is a nice way, but again, you can experiment which way to go that fits your style. And then when it comes to style scale, again, I usually just leave this at 100, but you can experiment to see what kind of results you get with that. And then once you're done here, you can either choose to preserve the colors, or you can use the secondary image that you're trying to match your original image with. It'll take the new colors in the secondary image, and it will marry that into the original image. And then once you're done with all those settings, then you can hit generate. Usually it takes a little while to generate the image depending on your settings, but then once you have your image, then it spits it out like this. And then again, you can tweak the image. You can sometimes I'll rebake it into the generator again with some new settings, or sometimes I'll do double filters just to try to get a different effect. I think this one I just used one, but then some of the more trippy art that I'm doing, I'm kind of oversampling it a little bit more just to get a little bit more trippiness. So once you have your image the way you want it, but yeah, usually I'll use a program like Photoshop or Procreate just to get the colors the way I like it, and to get any of the rough edges out of the way, and just touch it up overall, but it's not necessary. So once you have the image the way you want it, then you want to throw it into an animation program. You can use After Effects. There's a couple really great iOS applications that you could use on an iPad that are really down and dirty animations, or if you're code savvy, you could do this in JavaScript. There's many different ways you can animate these kind of images, but my preference and how I do these, I'm using a simple program called Motionleap. If I want to get any more advanced, obviously I'll throw it into something like After Effects, and then you can dial in some more trippy animations depending on your level of animation skills. For me, I want to get these done really fast and quick, so something like this works for me. So here we're in Motionleap, and again, there's a couple different programs just like Motionleap. This is not a sponsored video, and you know, I'll probably play with some other ones to see what other kind of effects I can get. There's no one correct program. It's really up to you how you want to animate. Here we're going to be using Motionleap. So the first thing I want to do is click down here in animate, and then you're going to see the select tool and the direction tool. So the first thing I'll do is I'll do the select tool, and then I'll come in here and I'll usually start with the face, and then I'll start to, if you can see, it turns orange where the face is being colored, and then you can move on to the hair. And usually I'll you know, experiment which spots are the best to animate. Sometimes you can animate the entire image and just kind of make everything orange, but if you want to get a little bit more precise animations, usually I'll just do the highlight areas, and then you can just sort of just build on from there. Once you come out here, you know, obviously we want to have the horse's face animate as well. So you want to color all of this. Obviously the sky. I'm just doing a really quick example here, but you'll obviously want to take your time with this and dial in to see which areas you want to animate. Okay, so once you've gotten everything the way you want it, I have one already ready. So as you can see, I've highlighted all of the areas that I wanted to animate. So I have my subjects selected here. I have our subject and the horse and the ground selected, as well as the sky and some of the background. And you can see I sort of left some things not highlighted, and usually these are the dark areas. I find that they overlap into the highlighted areas when they start to animate, and it can get a little bit messy. So once you have that, the next thing you want to do is you want to click down here, the direction. This is where you start to tell the image where to move. So if I made an arrow going up here, pointing up, and I hit play, you can see everything starts to shift up, right? And then you can dial in the speed at which things will start to animate. And so you sort of want to find the lines in the image that that flow in specific directions. Like you can see here, there's some strong lines that flow this way, so I'll flow that way. This will flow up, and then usually I'll just make a bunch of marks really quick just to sort of get a sense of where I want things to go. So I want, you know, this part of the head going outwards, I want this to be going upwards, I want here to be going down. And it's really, you know, the more you do it, the more you kind of see how things start to move. Like her skin, I'd want it to go up this way, down here, on her arm. So you just start to make a bunch of ticks in the direction that you want it to go. Like her hair, you'd want this to go down. And again, this is me doing it very quickly, but you can start to get a sense of how things will start to move in the image. You see how the floor is moving this way, but the floor is moving a little bit off this way. So you can sort of see where the trouble areas are, where it starts to bleed over into the different areas where it animates, or if it looks really weird in the animation, you can tell that it's not going in the right direction, it's going diagonal. So you really want to add, you know, the right arrows to make it go the right way. Oops. So now that I added these ones going up, just give it a second and then you'll see now it starts to go up, but a little bit too much. So you want to dial in your settings. This is kind of where it takes the most time to sort of figure out where you want the image to move and which lines you want to go where. But once you start to play around with it, you really get a sense of how to make things move properly and to make it look really nice. Great, so I have a completed one done here. As you can see, I have quite a lot of different small arrows. You can sort of see where I'm following the different lines on the face, in the hair, in the sky, on the ground. You can see where the lines will sort of flow naturally. And again, this is a lot of trial and error. Probably will take you a little bit of time to get used to this, but once you have it, then you can start to see that there's a pretty smooth animation going on. Pretty much the sky, the ground, there's good separation, there's good, it gives the illusion that there's multiple layers moving and that it's not just one whole image moving at one time. And again, you can dial in the speed at which it animates. So this is full speed. So this one's at about a level 3. And that's pretty much how you make things go from a trippy image to a trippy animation. And this thing just loops over and over again. The final touches, usually if you go into these other things, you have element, overlays, you can add music to it, special effects, do different sky effects or like color filters to it. If you have water in your image, you can animate that, or you can add some 3D motion to the image as well. I'm not going to go too deep into each one of these. This is more for you to explore. These are some preset ones that you can throw in there for really quick animations. But then if you really want to expand, you can go into After Effects or Cinema 4D and add your own elements and obviously import them in and overlay them on top of this animation. It all depends on how you want to add to your image. For me, I use some of the elements here. I have access to some nice flares that you can play with. So usually, I'll add a light source. I'll add some accents to the image, just to give some bokeh flares, just to give some depth to the image. Again, you don't need these things. It's all personal preference. I think the more details you can get, the better. What's nice about this program is that it has, some really cool preset, keyed out animations. Like this is a little smoke. If you think about a horse that's living and breathing, maybe you want to see a little bit of their breath. So if I play this, you can see it's very subtle, but you can harmonize it and blend the colors of the smoke to it. You can change the opacity so it's a little less noticeable. And there, it looks like the horse is breathing as well. So you can just really dial in the different settings here, how you like it. So these are elements. I'll just quickly explain some of the other things I'll use. Overlays are good things as well if you want to add a little bit more depth. Some can be a little bit too much and it gets a little too gimmicky. But I mean, some images you can really, it fits really nicely, and you can play around with overlays. Usually I don't add too many overlays to the stuff that I'm doing. Effects. So this is where you can add like smoke effects to the image. You can add these sort of fragmentations, or I don't know what you would call these, but you can add these sort of bursting styles to it. This gets really creative because you can dial in the speed and you can also dial in the size at which these things produce. You can create some really dense animations as well. And then there's different settings here. So there's disperse, there's scatter. The difference is scatter displaces parts of the image, where disperse keeps those parts of the image in place. Like her neck area here, right now I'm in disperse. It's full color, but then once I hit shatter, it starts to shatter, displace some of her colors on her neck. And then the last one is gather, which is the opposite, so it brings everything in. So you can get some really cool effects depending on your imagination, and I think this is a pretty powerful program. I was really surprised coming from After Effects and Cinema 4D that this can do, really quick render animations like this, just on an iPad, like this, and it looks pretty cool. This is the final image and this is the final animation. I'll just go through really quick the steps one more time for your reference. So we have our AI generated image, and then it's inside of this program, Motionleap, and then we highlighted all of the areas that we wanted to animate, and then we added in the directions in which the lines are going to be moving. And then we started to add in specific elements. I have some flares in here. I have some spotlights. I have some glowing things, some foreground details. So again, you can add as much as you want into this, and it's a matter of just playing around with those settings to make it look how you want your final piece to look. I don't have any overlays in this, but that's something you can play with yourself. I don't have any music in this. I do have this effect in here where I have some very subtle movement inside of the image here. Let me just zoom in here. I wanted this idea of them melting into each other. I don't have any effects going with the sky. I don't really play with this, but again, you can play with, these are more like Instagram filters baked into this program, but I find that I already did my color correcting and I already got the colors where I wanted it to be, or at least close enough in Photoshop or in Procreate. I did add some subtle 3D animation into this. This one, usually I go with this one. There's some pretty crazy ones in here. I won't show you all of them, but this one gives a little bit of overall movement to it. And again, you can speed it up or you can speed it down really slow, depending on your, how you like it. Yeah, then this one you can add like foreground things to the 3D animation. This one I don't really add these unless I really want to go stylistic, but you can have bubbles floating around, and I won't show you all of those, but that's something you can look into once you play with the program. And then the last thing I'll do is I'll just do some final adjustments, adjust my contrast, boost my saturation a little bit, adjust the temperature just a little bit, just to blend the overall colors and the overlays that I've done. And then that's pretty much it. That's the animation, and then you can export, and you can export how you want it, and it'll export it as a 4K video or any size you want. You can do for Instagram, or you can do vertical, and that's how you do it. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'm hoping to do some more tutorials and some walkthroughs. Maybe I'll do once a week a video of me creating some of this stuff so that you guys can see more of my process. And again, this is just evolving. I'm just playing around with a few different things, and we'll see how this evolves over time. And then, yeah, I'm excited to be sharing my work with you guys. Thanks for following me and sharing my work. I'm really glad that you guys are enjoying it. And yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Please like and subscribe, and I will catch you guys in the next one.